So for more on what these numbers mean for the U.S. economy, let's bring in our panel. Matt McCall, president of Penn Financial Group, Simon Constable from the Wall Street Journal, and Charles Payne from the Fox Business Network. Charles, I'll start with you. Those numbers, the August numbers, lower than expected. In July, revised downward, as Jim Angle just said. I mean, pretty markedly. What does that tell you?
A gigantic revision. You know, we are stuck in a rut, a real serious rut, and you have to be worried about the participation rate. How many people are actually getting off the sofa, hitting the bricks, wanting to be a part of this job market? The apologists will tell you, well, this is just attrition. The baby boomers are getting older and they're fading out. It's not. This is a young people phenomena. Young people are not participating in this economy. They're not even trying to go and find a job. And that bodes real ill for years to come, not just right now.
That is disheartening.
And it's actually worse than it sounds. I mean, the number wasn't as good, but then you look at what jobs were created. Retail, 44,000 of that, 160 or so thousand. Restaurants and bars, 27,000. Temp hiring, 13,000. The highly paid manufacturing jobs aren't really coming back.
And zero construction.
Zero construction. So look, this isn't the type. If this was a normal recovery, you'd have some temporary jobs, some retail, some hospital jobs, hospitality jobs, and then some really high paid jobs as well, all mixed in there. It's just we're not seeing that this time. It's bad.
It seems like one of the bright spots, if that's what we can call it, auto manufacturing. They have been adding jobs. In fact, Americans are buying more cars now than any time since 2007. Does that say that we're optimistic?
I don't think it's optimistic. I think it's the fact that a lot of people realize interest rates are going up. Auto purchase and a home purchase, two of the biggest purchases you'll make, and it really relies on interest rates. So interest rates are ticking up. People thinking, well, it's the last chance to get into autos. And keep in mind, the age of your auto on the road is over 11 years, the highest it's ever been. So people are forced that, they have these old jalopies that aren't driving anymore, so they're forced to go out and buy a new car at this point. So, I mean, if you want to find one little bright spot in this horrible report, maybe that's it, but I don't think that really tells us much.
So people dropping out of the workforce, then what? What does that mean?
It means someone's got to feed them. It means someone's got to clothe them. Someone's got to entertain them. I got to tell you something, too. Teenagers, there were no jobs created for teenagers this summer. The participation rate for teenagers is shocking, but particularly for white teenagers. In 1978, August, it was 62%. Now it's down to 35%. I mean, that's scary stuff. Someone's got to look deep inside there and say, what's going on psychologically that our kids from all across the spectrum are sort of giving up on the American dream? It dovetails with everything. Owning a house as opposed to renting, starting a family, getting married, the whole thing. I call it dropout nation. A lot of people, particularly young people, have dropped out.
As a teenager, I scooped ice cream at Friendly's. I was fantastic, by the way, at that.
I can see your wristband.
Yes, and I know my ice cream. But is what Charles talking about because teenagers don't want to have fast food jobs anymore, or because they don't exist?
I think it's because it's increasingly hard to get them. I mean, I really do. We're seeing a situation where people are taking whatever they can. I mean, it used to be when you graduate from high school or college, you could go out and try a number of different things. Now, just to even get a basic job, people are saying, oh, where's your degree, right? Where's your degree to serve coffee or whatever it is?
Is that right?
So, increasingly so. A lot of people are overqualified for their positions.
I'm going to disagree with that because I'm actually hiring right now and interviewing a lot of college graduates. And the first thing that they ask after the interview, what are my benefits? What are my vacation like? So no, I disagree with that. I think a lot of people are living at home until they're 25 years old. They're okay with mom and dad cooking for them, living off there, paying no rent. I think
that this generation is feeling a little bit more entitled than past generations.
I work with young folks, and they're tremendously well qualified, tremendously dedicated. I think it's hard to generalize, but I also know plenty of people who want to get a really great job and they want to try a career, and they're terrified to leave jobs that they've got.
Speaking of young people, the fertility rate has just ticked up also for the first time in years. People are going back to having babies.
Well,
Isn't that a good sign?
That's a fantastic sign. I mean, because that means you have faith in the future that these kids that you're having will have a future. My son is 16, and I asked him recently if he felt like the future would be bright for him. And he tells me he's scared, but he feels like it's going to be bright.
That number scares me. You have, like you said, 35% participation rate?
Yeah.
These kids are having kids. They don't even have jobs and they're having kids. That's just more people that are going to be on the government's tab. To me, that scares the heck out of me.
Well, all people are having kids. I mean, Americans are going back to having kids after stopping for a while.
I would say, put it another way, though, it stopped declining,
Yeah.
right? It's plateaued out. So it's stopping declining. Just says, well, hey, maybe the economy isn't in free fall. We're not having a boom again, are we? I mean,
you have to have the birth rates up. If you look at Europe,
we definitely
Europe is
need
going to
it.
have problems for the next 20, 30 years because of such a low birth rate. Same thing with Japan, and we're not too far behind. So this is a critical thing for us.
Okay, everybody, this weekend, get out there and help the birth rate. That's what we've taught you. If we've taught you nothing else in these 2 hours. Charles, Matt, Simon, great to talk to you guys. Thanks so much.